Implementing the MVC pattern. The Express framework is pattern agnostic. That means it doesn't support any predefined syntax or structure as some other web frameworks do. Applying the model view controller pattern to your Express application means that you can create specific folders where you place your JavaScript files in a certain logical order. All these files are basically common JavaScript modules. They function as logical units. For instance, models will be common JavaScript modules that contain a definition of Mongoose models placed in the models folder. Views will be HTML or other template files placed in the views folder, and controllers will be common JavaScript modules with functional methods placed in the controllers folder. To illustrate this, it's time to discuss the different types of application structure. The application folder structure. We previously discussed better practices when developing a real application, where we recommended the use of the package JSON over directly installing your modules. However, this was only the beginning. Once you continue developing your application, you'll soon find yourself wondering how you should arrange your project files and break them into logical units of code. JavaScript in general, and consequently the Express framework, are agnostic about the structure of your application, as you can easily place your entire application in a single JavaScript file. This is because no one expected JavaScript to be a full-stack programming language. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't dedicate special attention to organizing your project. Since the main stack can be used to build all sorts of applications that vary in size and complexity, it is also possible to handle the project structure in various ways. The decision is often directly related to the estimated complexity of your application. For instance, simple projects may require a leaner folder structure, which has the advantage of being clearer and easier to manage, while complex projects will often require a more complex structure and a better breakdown of logic, since it will include many features and a bigger team working on the project. To simplify this discussion, it would be reasonable to divide it into two major approaches: a horizontal structure for small projects, a vertical structure for feature-rich applications. Let's begin with a simple horizontal structure. There's something I meant to highlight last night. I think feature-rich. Feature. I was thinking it was a function versus feature. I just don't see where it mentions function in the smaller and the simpler programs. So simplicity versus feature-rich. So simple versus complex. Horizontal is just flat across the horizon, so that's kind of simple. And vertical is going to be the more complex. So let's outline the horizontal here. This really, I went over this last night, it feels pretty standard. I've got the link here at the bottom. You can read up on that. What I really want to know, I marked the episodes to private because I had some security leaks. I think I've got this taken care of. I didn't want my friends' private messages and my public address. I didn't want all that popping up on the channel. So I marked those private, and if I get a chance to edit them, I may open them back up to public later. But I don't think there's anything critical that I won't babble on about 50 more times. There we go. Vertical folder. Vertical folder structure. Okay. A vertical project structure is based on the division of folders and files by the feature they implement, which means that each feature has its own autonomous folder that contains a model view controller structure. An example of the vertical application structure would be as follows. So that's your stack, okay? If you're, where are my hands in the camera? I've been wondering why I wanted my face on the screen so much. I think it's really my hands that I want on the screen. Okay, so horizontal, you know, the horizon, sunset. I think I'm slanted. Okay, if you're doing horizontal stacks, a technology stack, I think this just registered with me. Folder, so you've got a simple app, just one primary folder structure, one MVC, one model, one view, one controller, all in a simple structure. But if you're going to go vertical with that, you've got a model view controller for each feature. So all of a sudden your horizontal architecture becomes a vertical architecture. All right, that's my prediction. Let's read through these paragraphs and see how we're on course. A vertical project structure is based on the division of folders and files by the feature they implement, which means that each feature has its own autonomous folder. Autonomous. We do an AI module. Contains a model view controller, folder structure. An example of the vertical application structure would be as follows. So you're going to have your core. Okay, your client, your server. That makes sense. You're going to configure each of those components. Do you not have components on the server? Do not talk into your coffee cup. Java, I am your father. Let's see. Directives are on the client side. So Angular directives, images of pipes. I want to look into some pipes more. Templates, I think we understand templates. Core modules, TypeScript extension. Okay, on the server, we got our model view controllers. We got routes and configuration. So client, where's our MVC on the front? Components, configuration, directives. Okay. Feature. Oh, here we go. Templates for the client. Oh, we got two servers. We got the main server. Maybe this. We got server features. Server configure. Feature server configuration JavaScript. All right. Feature. Maybe it has multiple features. Client server. Each feature might have client server code. All right. Here's our MVC, and it's still just server side. So we're not doing any. I guess once you're on client side, it's all views. You're just in the view. React, Angular, that's going to stay on your view, which is client side, and your model and your controller are going to be more in the server. But the server is going to generate your views and feed it to the client. So, all right, that was interesting. Let's look through let's go on to reading again. Reading images. As you can see, each feature has its own application. Each feature. So there could be multiple features. This could be a chat feature, and then another vertical layer in the stack. Another horizontal at a different vertical level would have all this again. So minimize the feature folder. Right click to copy. Well, it wouldn't be here because we're on an image, but copy and paste your folder, and then change that feature, and you'd have 7, 8, 23. You know, there's no telling how many features your app could have, but each one of those features would have its own structure inside of there, instead of the horizontal where it's just one, like a single page app, and it's all just one big feature up front. All right, So I think we got the basics of this, the gist. Still got a lot to read through here. Alright, back to right here. As you can see, each feature has its own application-like folder structure. In this example, we have the core feature folder that contains the main application files, and the feature folder, core feature, and helper features. Alright. And the feature folder that includes the features files. An example feature will be user management feature that includes authentication and authorization logic. To understand this better, let's review a single features folder structure. Alright. The server folder. It's a server in a feature. Yeah, we've got the feature, server side. Alright. The server folder is where you keep your features server logic, and it is divided into the following folders that represent a separation of functionality in order to comply with the model view controller pattern. The controllers, the models, the routes, the views, the configuration. This is all pretty standard. Can we speed read this? They do have the book for sale. I'm reading for my own comprehension, and I'm usually a slow reader, so you're probably ahead of me. Environment, variables, feature server, configuration, JavaScript. Okay, now the client folder is where you keep your features client-side files, and it is divided into the following folders that represent a separation of functionality in order to comply with the model view controller pattern. Configuration, components, Angular components, cascading style sheets, directives. I really want to dig into this directives. That seems to be a part of Angular. Yeah, Angular directives. And pipes, I think, is another. It's either TypeScript or Angular or ES5. I don't know. The pipes is new to me. It's not just basic JavaScript from 10 years ago. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I don't understand. I think a pipe is like a fork in the road. I think it's also the keystroke that you find next in the top right corner for most US keyboards. Second in from the right with a shift. It's like a double wide colon. It's pipes, but the pipes folder is where you keep your features Angular pipes. I'm just going to have to read up on pipes. I don't know what that is really. Images. Okay, we've worked with image files for a long time. Templates. It's pretty self-explanatory. Angular templates. And features. Module. TypeScript. This is where you initialize your features Angular module. Your features. Okay. As you can see, the vertical folder structure is very useful for large projects where the number of features is unlimited. I would like to load the infinite features package, and each no, you wouldn't actually. That would kill your RAM. That would never. It would be the slowest thing ever, which is why they've made this so lightweight. You only load what you need. As you can see, the vertical folder structure is very useful for large projects where the number of features is unlimited and each feature includes a substantial number of files. It will allow large teams to work together. So yeah, each one of those folders could be, especially if you're working in the open source community where your team members aren't even on your team. They are on your team, but it's, you never see them. You would never exchange messages possibly, because you're just loading some code that they left out there, open area. So yeah, very large teams. Thanks to all you guys. To all the teammates I never met before. It will allow large teams to work together and maintain each feature separately. I'm trying to drag this in the other direction. It's always coming up from the bottom. Maintain each feature separately. So you could have like one team working on the chat module, another team working on the geolocation module, another team working on the billing e-commerce module, whatever. And because they're each in their own model view controller, they don't necessarily have to get in each other's way. because they're on different planes of existence, different layers in the stack, completely different floors in the building. Okay, although these are two distinctive types of most although these are two distinctive types of most application structures, the reality is that the mean stack can be assembled in many different ways. It's even likely for a team to structure their project in a way that combines, that's what I was just thinking, that combines these two approaches. So essentially it is up to the project leader to decide which structure to use. So when they talk about being an architect, this is it. Do you want to build your code in which direction? How do you want to stack it all together? In this book, we'll use a little tangent here. A lot of people tell me coding's hard to understand. I think of it as stacking. Okay, Kleenex became the common word for tissue. Legos feels like the common word for building blocks. But they're all little, not Kleenex, not tissue, but essentially building blocks, little toys that snap together. But you're doing it in text form. You know, you've got this little sentence here that loads your authentication module, and then you've got this little sentence here that loads your well, we just named off three different, you know, your e-commerce, your three different teams. So here, this little paragraph, it's like a thanks to the team that made the e-commerce module, and this little paragraph, this little sentence is you know, load the work from the geolocation module. So you've taken these little building blocks of text and snapped together an app. It's really about writing. It's about structuring your code in a way that an inorganic AI can process the logic, the abstract concept of instructions you're trying to give it without hitting a brick wall and crashing, because it just doesn't know what to do anymore. So, file naming conventions. As you're stacking all your node stuff together, you're stringing one little bit of the matrix to the next. Although these are two distinctive types of most application structures, the reality is, where to stop. In this book, we'll use the horizontal approach for reasons of simplicity. But we'll incorporate the angular part of our application in a vertical manner. So we are going to mix the two to demonstrate the flexibility of the mean stacks structure. So we're going to build horizontal for something like a little shell to get ourselves looped in there, and then we're going to stack it out. It's like you're going to come in real simple and build a ranch on the first floor, and then you're going to outline a little elevator next to the fireplace that lets you infinitely stack whatever you need on top of that, and it's all going to feed down its little workers in the elevator to function on your first floor, which is where all your street traffic's going to come in on the internet and be like, hey, what you got for sale? And we're like, hey, we got to get up here to our e-commerce on the 12th floor after you've looked through our catalogs and figured out what you want, and we're going to ship this back down, get it to the elevator, and we're going to ship you a whatever you just ordered from our warehouse. Alright, naming conventions. While developing your application, you'll soon notice that you end up with many files with the same name. The reason is that mean applications often have a parallel MVC structure for both the Express and Angular components. To understand this issue, take a look at a common vertical features folder structure. Feature, feature, feature. TypeScript. I'm still curious why TypeScript is an MPEG. That feels like it deserves attention. Because I've heard of people like embedding hacks in video streams. And if this is a yeah, see, it's a video stream. MPEG. So yeah, I'm curious about that. Another tangent worth noting though. client, components, providers, routes, templates. But those first three all have the same file name. And here we got more. These are TypeScript, these are JavaScript, but there are three features all named JavaScript. Alright, as you can see, enforcing the folder structure helps you understand each file's functionality, but it will also cause several files to have the same name. This is because an application's feature is usually implemented using several JavaScript files, each having a different role. This issue can cause, and it most likely came from a template generator. This is the whole advantage. To me, that's the real advantage of a framework, is the template generators. This issue, I guess it's not the only advantage, but that's a beautiful one. This issue can cause some confusion for the development team. So to solve this, you'll need to use some sort of naming convention. Okay. I don't think I'll finish this one in 25 minutes yet. I need to quit running off on tangents. The simplest solution would be to add each file's functional role to the file name. So a feature controller file will be named feature controller JavaScript. A feature model file will be named feature model JavaScript, and so on. However, things get even more complicated when you consider the fact that main applications used JavaScript model view controller files for both Express and Angular applications. This means that you'll often have your coffee mug in front of the camera. Okay. This means that you'll often have two files with the same name. To solve this issue, it is also recommended that you extend file names with their execution destination. This might seem like overkill at first, but you'll soon discover that it's quite helpful to quickly identify the role and execution destination of your application files. You know, because if I called you, hey, Bob that lives down the street, I would know that, hey, you're Bob that lives down the street, even though if it seemed like a lot to say every single time. So, note, it is important to remember that this is a best practice convention. You can easily replace the controller, model, client, and server keywords with your own keywords. Implementing the horizontal folder structure. To begin the structure of your first main project, create a new project folder with the following folders inside it. Alright, we'll save that for the next episode. We only got 2 minutes left, and I'm not even past the 50% mark on here. Alright, let's do a review of what we got left. Implementing the horizontal folder structure. So we've read about horizontal, we've read about vertical. We're going to implement horizontal now. Looks like we're going to be copying, we're going to copy some code and run it on the server next episode. I've already got that, well, I don't have it turned on. I've got the tower running. I don't have the server and the database running yet. So we'll start the next episode there. Yeah, this is all going to be fun. This is what we've been trying. This is the heart of the subject. This is the meat we've been trying to get to. Let's get back up to where we was at. 24 minutes. All right, perfect. Oh, we did naming conventions. All right, we'll start the next episode right here, implementing the horizontal folder structure. And with the last 30 seconds here, let me give you a little side note. Is it worth finding this? It is. What do they call those things? Plastic. You're off on the keyboard. Plastic ring. We'll say 20-year turtle. I bet that'll find it. He just had his 20th anniversary after this article got some popularity. If you know what I'm talking about, you already know where I'm going. If not, There he is. This guy, 20 years ago, got a lot of publicity. He's doing okay apparently. I don't know what that's done to his internal organs. But the point is, probably anything healthy is not going to come in these rings anyways. But please, before you throw them out, just take a little snippety snip. It's not even showing up on the camera. These things, there you go. Cut all those holes. Not just like one for every drink, but like the whole net. There's a huge pile of plastic. There's two now. Two huge piles of plastic just floating out in the ocean. The idea of a way has gone away. Can't just throw stuff away. It's still somewhere. It's a key idea of quantum physics. Even when you throw it in a black hole, it just clones itself. Please cut those up before you throw them away. Alright, that put us past 25 minutes, didn't it? Yeah, 26 and a half. Alright, see you guys.